Hey, Bubba here. Make It Happen Missions. This is our seventh people around me video. We're here at our home church, Timber Creek, Lufkin. Hey, I am here today with Sarah. She's actually the wife of Matt, who did our video back in March of this year. And I tell you, it was a two-part series, and we've had a lot of positive feedback. And there's been some guys that have really been affected by Matt's honesty and his openness. And today we're so glad to have Sarah here. Uh, we don't go on a script. We don't go on notes. We just go on what we feel the Lord wants to uh, project and to put out there. You might notice we're wearing shorts, man. It is May. It's almost summer. It's already hot in Texas, and we're just going to cool off a little bit. So, Sarah, thanks again for being here. I know Matt's probably babysitting, but that's okay. What goes around comes around. And you and I had kind of discussed kind of the direction you wanted to go, and I just wanted you to just share your heart. And I know you have a heart for young couples. And I know you've expressed, and you're going to share a little bit today about some of the struggles that you have faced and the victories that you have seen and that you've been a part of. And so let's just kind of delve into it and just see what the Lord has to say. Okay. Just go ahead and you kind of take up where you feel the Lord wants you to in addressing what you want. Let's just make it happen.
Okay. Well, I'm married to Matt. We
You guys been married how long?
actually 15 years this past week. Just celebrated.
Congratulations, 15 years.
Yes.
Wow. And your oldest child is only
He is 8.
8.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a little bit of time before the children came that there
Yes.
was okay.
Yes. We got to go through the fire. It was good though. It was, in retrospect, it was definitely a God's timing thing.
Oh wow.
You can always look back on the lens of the past and kind of see God's work through everything. So, yes, we had a lot of infertility issues.
Oh.
It took us probably about 6 years.
I think Matt mentioned that.
Yes. So that was an added stressor to
mm-hmm.
some issues that we already kind of brought into our marriage. Both of us have anger issues in our own way. I'm kind of more of a quiet, reserved. Matt is very loud and abrasive, and we're polar opposites on everything. So it just caused a lot of friction. We were very young when we got married. I was a believer. I knew Jesus was real. I knew he died for our sins. I don't know if I would say I was following the way I should have been. There were lots of lapses. There were a lot of years that I probably veered way further than I probably realized and had to come back, and lots of ebbing and flowing. Matt, I would say he knew about Christ. I would say in a way he was a believer, but between the two of us, I would say I probably was a little firmer in my foundation there. So I always say that was probably red flag 1, that we were not equally yoked. We did not come in with the foundation of God. So for couples now, that's always my big disclaimer.
Absolutely.
But even though we kind of came in at that disadvantage, God just did so many remarkable things. During the first few years of our marriage, I feel like it's like anyone else. You have those days, months, weeks where everything's great, and then you have the valleys where it's just, you are stuck in this pit. What is happening? What is going on? How did we get here? How did we get out? What do we do? And those were the times, I think for me, I would fall into a lot of despair. I prayed a lot. That's always the one thing I've been very diligent about, is I pray like nobody's business constantly. During those times, he I don't know, God just would not answer my prayers in the way I wanted them answered, I think would probably be the best way I could say that. I think there were quite a few times I was just done. I wanted out, but I'm not a big believer in divorce at all. I I despise it, honestly. But I wanted God to give me an okay to get divorced, but he never would give me my out.
Why do you think that? I mean, we hear situations of people getting divorced or separated, and you and I have talked briefly, and you made mention, you said you think, and we both agreed that a lot of time people come into the marriage and they both have issues, demons, and we expect the other one to take care of it, and it doesn't work, and it's not their job.
No.
It's not their job, but yet the world says, "Oh, you take care of you."
Mm-hmm.
Take care of you. And I'm sure you had family that loved you and friends that would say, "Hey, he's a nice dude, but."
Yeah.
And it was that kind of where you were.
In a way, I actually I think I talked to some friends and family at the very, very beginning, the infancy of our marriage, and I very quickly stopped that because I would tell them these things and I would kind of just blurt out like, all this is going on. And everyone's first response was like, you don't deserve that. You don't need to put up with that. You need to just kick him to the curb, get out, whatever. Or he needs to do this. And it was always like these very firm, like, he needs to do this and he needs to do that. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And it just, then I would almost go on the defense of Matt, even sometimes it was deserved, sometimes not. And I think it was, in my case, I wasn't looking for an echo chamber. I was just screaming and hollering for help. And the people I was screaming and hollering to were not themselves followers and walking with Christ.
That makes a big difference.
Yes.
It makes a
So
big difference.
for me, I would do this and I was hollering for help. And when they would give me that echo chamber of like, yeah, you're right. He shouldn't do this. This shouldn't be, and I'm like, well, yeah, I'm saying that, but I don't need to hear that back. I just need guidance on this. And I would get really discouraged. So I just shut down and stopped talking to anybody about it for a really, really long time. Until a few years later, we were still in the midst of our infertility. Actually, I just stopped working at the gym where we had met the first time.
Oh, that's right. That's been a few years back.
Yes. And I was working at another church here in Lufkin at a Mother's Day Out program. And I connected with this really beautiful woman who I just adore. And she was just so strong in her faith. She and I would talk. I would confess to her all these things that were going on. She would cry with me. She would pray with me. And I remember she was asking me, and I was like, I pray all the time about this. I don't know. I don't know why God's not answering my prayers. I don't know why, he must be mad at me, or, I'm not doing this right, or I'm not doing that right, or something I'm doing is wrong. I'm not doing it right. And she was really encouraging on me praying. And eventually one day she just came with this really beautiful bag and this new Bible for me and just gifted it to me. She didn't really say a whole lot with it. She's just like, I just feel like you need this. And it hung around in my room for a while. And I finally started diving back in the word. And it just started giving me so much peace at that time. And during that time, she had left that church to go work at another one, and they reached out and offered me a job. And then that whole program was surrounded by all of these women who were so strong in faith that we were constantly talking about the Lord. We were constantly praying over each other. And I just kind of felt like I was finally finding footing for the first time. And that was when, shortly, that was around the time I had my first son, at Ethan. And I was just staring at him and I was like, we need more of this. You need to be raised in this. You need to be raised around people like this. And I kind of was also at my wits' end with Matt because we were back and forth. His dad was having tremendous health problems. And at the time, I didn't know it at the time, but Matt was already in the midst of his own spiritual conflict and figuring things out. which he never
Right.
verbalized to me.
And he talked about that on
Yes,
the video.
he did. Which a lot of that I didn't know he was going through that, through that deep of faith at that time. I didn't know he was having these conversations, having these prayers. We didn't discuss
The
it.
Lord was really beginning to work on him.
He
That
was.
transformation into who God intended him to be.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question. You said something. You just didn't believe. Is the guy mad at me? Is he? But would you agree that maybe, and would you that we get to looking, Lord, there they are. You need to fix them. I'm praying about this. But he's saying, I know, but maybe there's some things I need to help you with. Do you think maybe looking back, was he preparing you for what was to come?
I think it was a little of that. And I think he was preparing me for things to come. And I think that my heart needed a huge perspective shift from the,
Perspective shift.
yes, because this is one thing from other couples I've talked to, men and women. I think if you are not looking at your spouse through the lens of God, you're looking at them as far as who like this person does this, this, and this, and I don't like this, and they need to change this and this and this. Instead of looking at them like God created this person, He gave him all of these gifts, He gave him all these strengths. He also has all of these struggles,
Wow.
and I want to look at him through the lens of how is God looking at him and loving him. I want to love him the way God does. Like, I know you have these struggles. How can I pray for you over these? How can we
Wow.
get through these struggles? Like, you are really struggling with this rage right now over this instant, or you are really struggling with this at your work right now. And I think both ways, for men and women, you get so looking internally at yourself and how you're being mistreated, or how you feel like you should be loved, or you think you should be. And I think if you step back and look at it from the perspective of how God is looking at your marriage, that's not how He's looking at it at all. He's not looking at it as, hey, Matt's not loving Sarah the way she deserves. Sarah's not loving Matt. It's like, we need to love each other the way I've created you to love each other.
So let me ask you this: when you had this shift, do you think that that was part of what God was preparing you for? When you begin to see Matt trans trying to shift, you hear the old saying, you can get the boy out of Egypt, but it takes a while to get the Egypt out of the boy.
Yes.
And I understand that. I I can guarantee you, Matt saw something there in a so positive way, instead of maybe a reaction that you had previously to the same events. He sees you coming at it from a total different perspective. Did he say anything? Did he notice?
So no, Matt's not always the most forthcoming with his feelings,
Oh, I
which
understand.
is, I think, a lot of men, and that's totally fine. Um, I really didn't notice any. I didn't know anything. I almost gave him an ultimatum at that time because, like I said, with Ethan, I was like, you need to be raised around this kind of community, and I did almost give Matt an ultimatum. I was like, we need to get into a church. We need to start going in and being fed. You can come with us, jump on the wagon, or you can stay at home. But me and Ethan are going, and which is very uncharacteristic. I think that was some Holy Spirit or something, because I is not me. I don't do that. Um, and I said, you can pick. I don't care, whatever church you want to go to. And we happen to know a couple who he used to work with, the gentleman. And I said, they. She told me that he loves it there. It has transformed their family, and and he said, fine, let's just go try it. And I think at first he came very begrudgingly. He just
Sure.
kind of was like shuffling through, but something about Pastor Jeremy really spoke to him. I think it was probably his sense of humor. So that broke down that wall. And I think he started paying attention. And then all of a sudden, I would just kind of walk through the house and I'd catch him reading his Bible. And I'm like, huh, that's interesting. And then he would kind of be up and ready to go. It just kind of like little small transitions.
Wow.
And it kind of started hitting. And then all of a sudden, um, I think we were here probably about a year and a half. And It was the first time I'd ever become pregnant naturally.
Oh,
I found out he was at work. The next day, he came home and I had like a little, all the tests lined out to let him know when he walked in the door. And he says, this was God's timing. God knew we needed to wait and
oh,
he was ready.
wow.
And that was when I kind of really clicked that, like, oh, you are having some real big heart transformation.
You said something. Well, he's not really open with his feelings. Well, most guys sitting out there right now, we do the John Wayne thing, but I can assure you, when he sensed that difference, that spirit in you that, hey, I know you're struggling with this. How can I pray for you? Instead of saying, see, you just like your daddy. See, you ain't never going to change. Oh, you do good for a while. You do good for a while and then you change. Oh, then you go right back. And I tell you, and I'm sure there's guys out there, and I know you ladies, you put up with a lot, and we get it. But when you see your wife coming alongside, you're struggling, this is new, you're having to change ideas, theologies, habits, mindsets, allowing someone, the Lord, that you may not even have a good relationship with, and believing he's going to do it. And then when your wife comes alongside and says, hey, how can I pray for you? Hey, what are you struggling with? I'm telling you, he may not show it, but it does make a difference. And you should be commended for that. So many of us just, it's about me. I heard a pastor one time, and he said he had counseled a lot of people, and he found out what the number one cause of divorce was. It wasn't money. It wasn't extramarital affairs. It was selfishness. It was just pure selfishness. What about me? I'm not getting me met. I don't have this, and you're not getting it for me. So therefore, you must be the wrong person, and I need to find the right one. And you had so many opportunities to walk. What kept you there? What even even before Ethan was born, and then after Ethan was born, and now your second child,
Evan.
Evan, he was born. Uh, I just, one of the things I look at in your situation, and we've talked about this briefly, had you listened to the world, had you been justified, I was justified in leaving. He was hard to live with. Mm-hmm. Y'all don't even know, where would you be today?
I would be in a very dark place. It just would not be good, honestly.
Well, you wouldn't have any children. Well, you wouldn't have Ethan. You wouldn't have Evan, and then your beautiful daughter as well. Yeah. So there's three of them.
Yeah, it would be nowhere good. I can promise you that it would. I couldn't even try to imagine. Honestly, I struggle with a lot of depression. I think if I had just given up on us and walked away, I think it would have been detrimental to me spiritually. I think it would have just probably crushed me, honestly. Um, because at the end of the day, I really truly always have loved Matt. Always, always, always. Even on the days where I hated him. Because there were a lot of days there where I was like,
you, but I love you.
I really want to wring your neck and smother you with a pillow,
yes.
but I love you. It's like we're gonna sleep
I
and
love you.
Yes. But I mean, I really do love him. And at the end of the day, when we got married, and I did tell him this, I was like, there is no divorce. It's a grave or a body bag. We're not getting out of this. And I always have been very dedicated to that. So I just, yeah, we're like, it's gonna happen. We're gonna make it work out. And
Pastor Jeremy, he preaches on all kinds of different. When you were talking about, where you would have been. See, the devil, the enemy, he wants us to take that counterfeit and get us to, well, hey, you're completely justified in what you're doing. I believe the enemy knows that God has great things for us, great things for us to do, that he plans in advance for us to do, but we have to get there.
Mhm.
We have to get there. And Satan doesn't know, he doesn't know what those are, but if he can hamstring you, if he can get you a counterfeit, and a counterfeit is pretty close. It's pretty close, but it ain't the same.
Yeah.
It ain't the same.
Well, and building off of that, during this time, I really do feel like Satan he tried to use these victories against me in a way.
Wow.
After I had Evan, I had horrendous postpartum depression. I was having I couldn't get out of bed. I just couldn't talk to me. And I started just having this really dark inner dialogue where your kids are good now because Matt's saved. He's walking with the Lord. He's good. They would actually probably be better off if you weren't here.
Oh, my Lord.
And it just kept getting worse.
When you say not here, you mean?
Oh, I had written letters out to the boys. I had written a letter out to Matt. I had totally planned out. I had picked out a hotel room. Because I wasn't going to do anything at my house, but I was ready just to end it.
Oh.
Because I thought the enemy had just got so deep rooted in there, and it literally was just using, like, well, your kids are safe now because Matt's with the Lord and he's walking with them, so you don't really need to be here anymore.
And he attacks those weaknesses. He's constantly probing.
He was, and once I finally, it came about really unfortunately. Matt's friend, he was very close to, had committed suicide. And it was a few weeks after that, I was watching how hard it was on him. And I broke down crying one day, and I finally just came clean and I told him. And he broke down crying, which shocked the heck out of me, honestly. At that time, I was like, I didn't think he would care if I was here or not. So when he cried, I was like, what is happening? And he started praying over me.
Oh, wow.
And that, I can tell you, when I did that and we started praying together and having those conversations, it just flipped that switch. It was actually our anniversary. A few years ago, I went and rebaptized here at Timber Creek. I recommitted, and I was like, I'm not giving a foothold anymore.
Way to go.
And it was because I had a husband who was redeemed.
Wow.
Because he was serving the Lord so fervently. So I always look at that now in retrospect. Like I said, I was so patient and I had so much trust that the Lord was going to do what he needed to do with Matt. And because of that, I was rewarded and really, truly saved because of Matt. Because if I didn't have him standing by me, literally putting his arms over me, praying over me, I don't know. I would like to say I wouldn't have gone through with it, but I was in such a dark place.
But Sarah, that's such a beautiful thing that the Lord had you. He was pulling at Matt. He's putting you, and he's preparing you for what great things are to come. But he has to work some stuff out. Mm-hmm. He has to work those things out sometime, and it's not pleasant. It is not. Some of the bloodiest battles on a path that we're on, I mean, horrendous fights with the enemy, leads to the greatest rewards. Leads to the greatest rewards. If you had one word, to say about your life and about where you guys are today. You got 3 children. Matt is a strong member of our Make It Happen missions. You're a great inspiration. What would that word be?
Redemption.
Redemption.
Matt and I have discussed it. That's always our one word we come back to constantly, because just through God's grace and his patience, he's been nothing but just redeeming him, redeeming me, redeeming our marriage, our family, just constantly being so gracious.
Wow. It's all about obedience. Yeah. It's all about dying to self. Dying to self. Sarah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Listen, ladies, I know you put up with a lot from us guys. I get that. And we're not sitting here telling you, hey, if he's smacking you and beating you up or beating the kid, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about, staying in the fight, staying in there. The Lord wouldn't even release you to go.
No.
He wouldn't, and you're going, what is wrong? Are you kidding me? Ladies, let me tell you, and gentlemen, if the Lord has not allowed you to go, don't do it. There's things called consequences that we all have to pay. Now, please understand, We are not saying, I don't care if you're getting beat up every, no. Alcoholic problems, we're not saying that. We're saying when you start to see that transformation that you've been praying for, that you've been hoping comes, don't quit.
No.
Don't give up. But as Sarah said, he's going to work on him. He's going to work on you. And let him do it. And look at the beauty that comes from the ashes, man. The ashes. Man, Sarah, great job. Appreciate you so much. Listen, die to self, redemption, and let the Lord has such great things for us to do. Ephesians 2:10 says that we're the handiwork of God, built in the image of Jesus to do good things. And here's the cool part. The Lord has prepared them in advance for us. You guys have not even scratched the surface of the things God has for you. And had you made those decisions previously on emotion, on whether I'm happy or I'm not happy, you would not be sitting here today.
No.
Your children would, it's great. You see what God can do for us? Hang in there. And if you're in the midst of it, you stay with what she says. Just hang in there and trust God. Sarah, is there anything else you'd like to share?
I would just say for men and women in marriage that you're not being a martyr, you're not being self-righteous or anything. You're fighting for your marriage, and your marriage should reflect God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit and just be all in one.
Great job. We're so thankful for you and Matt. We look forward to the great things you guys are going to do. We're going to have to get you out on what we call the MSO, mission service opportunity. But I know we don't provide child care on the job side. But one day,
the hammers in their hands.
There you go. Hey, we appreciate your time, and we believe that the Lord is speaking to you right now, and just do what He says. That's the hardest thing to do sometimes, but it is well worth it. Sarah, thanks again. Hey, be sure and watch Sarah's episode. It's going to be dropping in May, and we're excited about that. We want to thank you for your time. Look forward to episode number 8 coming up, and we'll see you next time.